Let's talk about iPhone 3GS. This was the iPhone that started it all, the iPhone 3GS. And today we're going to be talking about why it was such a game changer. Back in 2008, the original iPhone had just come out the year before and it was really only meant for the United States. But the 3GS was the first iPhone to truly go global, being released in more than 70 countries. It also marked the end of an era in a way, being the last iPhone to have a design that was heavily inspired by the original. The name 3GS might sound a little weird since Apple has never used the S moniker in its naming scheme, but Steve Jobs said that the S stood for speed, style and substance, and wow, did this phone deliver. It was the first iPhone with 3 grams networking, hence the 3 grams in the name. This allowed for faster data speeds of up to 2 megabits per second on UMTS networks and up to 14.7 megabits per second on SHOTPA networks. That might not sound like much compared to the gigabit speeds we see today, but back then this was blazing fast. It also featured a faster processor, a 600 MHz CPU from Texas. Instruments, double the RAM of the previous model. And it was the first iPhone to feature 32 gigs of storage. But perhaps most importantly, it was the first iPhone to feature a camera capable of recording video. And let me tell you, this was a big deal. The fact that you could capture video on a phone was cool enough, but the fact that the 3GS could do it in 720p at 30 frames per second was mind-blowing. Another cool feature was the addition of voice control, which allowed you to control the phone hands-free using your voice. This was later renamed to Siri and you know the rest. The 3GS also introduced another feature that would become ubiquitous on iPhones, the front-facing camera. This was a VGA camera, so the quality wasn't great, but it was decent enough. And it was good enough to pave the way for the higher resolution and higher quality cameras we have today. The 3GS also had some nice new design touches, including rounded edges, a glossy back, and it came in 5 different colors. But perhaps even cooler is that the 3GS introduced a new form factor to the iPhone lineup, the one we've all been familiar with ever since, the touchscreen. Before this, the iPhone had a fixed keyboard, while the 3GS didn't have a slide-out keyboard like the BlackBerry. It did have a virtual one that you could access by tapping a button at the bottom of the screen. This made it easier to type, especially when texting, but it was a little awkward to use, especially when you wanted to access the keyboard in apps. Apple ultimately ditched the idea with the iPhone 4 in favor of a full touchscreen experience. So what do you think of the iPhone 3GS? Let me know in the comments below, and if you want to learn more about the history of Apple, check out the playlist in the description. And finally, hit that subscribe button because I'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.